So now let's take a look at some of the settings in the FirePlotter.ini file that can be used to make life easier with FirePlotter, to change some of the way the data is presented, and a number of other features that can be altered. So let's run FirePlotter as if it's the first time we are running it. And let's go to File and open FirePlotter.ini. Now there are a number of sections of things that we can change, and in the connection section we have the capability to choose a number of parameters that can be automatically entered into these fields. So for example, we can set the firewall type, ASA, Pixel, FortiGate, the IP address, the port, the protocol, the login credentials, and passwords. We don't encrypt the passwords yet in the file, but in a future version of FirePlotter we will be doing that. And let's just do that so we can see how that works. So here we've got some sample lines that we can actually use without the descriptions of what they do. So by removing the colon from the beginning of the line, I make that command now active, that setting now active. So I'm going to set the IP address of the firewall that we're talking to. I'm going to connect to it with port 22. I'm going to use SSH, and I've already entered in the username and the password for SSH, and I've left the enable password blank, and I haven't set it yet for the moment. So let's just save that and exit out of FirePlotter, and now let's run FirePlotter again, and you can now see that those parameters are now being automatically entered into the fields. So all that it remains for me to do is to then enter the enable password, press connect or hit enter, and then we can see we're authenticating and we're in. Now if we want to automate that even further, then one of the things that we can do is we can change we can put in the enable password, which I'll do in a moment, and we can enable auto connect, which is basically like automatically pressing the connect button. So I'm going to add the enable password just off screen. And we'll just save that, and then we'll exit FirePlotter, and now we'll run FirePlotter again, and you'll see that it will completely automatically connect. So it's entered all of the parameters including the enable password, connect has been pressed, we're authenticating, and we're in. So if you want to, you can make connecting to your firewall very easy. Next, I want to draw your attention to the fact that we are in basic view mode at the moment, and in basic view mode the descriptors for the services are quite lengthy. We've got email, syslog, remote desktop control, secure web browsing. If I go into a right click in advanced view mode, that's when it shows us all the sessions through the firewall rather than a key summary. If I go into advanced view mode, then now you can see the descriptors have changed. So instead of secure HTTP, it's now saying HTTPS and the port number. Instead of remote desktop control, it's now saying RDP and the port number. So we can, if we like, in FirePlotter, we can change this text. So let's go and just change this one. Let's remove the word control there. So I'm going to go into File, open FirePlotter.ini, bring that up, go down to the section that enables us to do this. RDP is here, and the remote desktop control, so I'm going to remove the word control. We'll save that, and then if we exit FirePlotter again and we load FirePlotter again, what we'll now see is that remote desktop control will be changed to remote desktop. There we go. So our editing that field has worked. Now let's just go into advanced view mode. We can see that at the moment on this firewall, syslog is getting the trace line color for inbound. That means it's using the most bandwidth, and it's getting the trace line because no other color has been assigned to it, and we want to show this traffic on the graph when it gets to a level that's worth monitoring. But one of the things you can do in FirePlotter is you can choose the colors of the protocols that are being listed. So you can choose the color that is lighting the line, and therefore also the color that appears on the graph for that particular traffic. So what we're going to do is going to go back into FirePlotter.ini. We're going to scroll down to the section to do with colors, and it's port, it was syslog but we want to look at, and syslog is port 514. So I'm going to go to the end here to do with the colors section, and I'm going to add in 514, and it's a 6 because that's a TCP protocol rather than a UDP protocol, which is a 17. And to set the color, what we're going to do is we can go to this web page to get our color descriptors, and just load that up, and here you can see a whole load of colors that we could choose, and then there's lots of but let's choose a particular color. I'm going to choose blue violet. So I'm now going to make this color blue violet, and we're going to save this, and we're going to exit from FirePlotter, and then I'm going to reload FirePlotter, and we can see that that color will be now being displayed for syslog. Just authenticating, getting the host name, and there we go. Maybe slightly difficult to read, but nonetheless you can see that. And as the traffic appears, and here we go, right on cue, we can now see that's creating a line color of our choice. So we know that that is our syslog traffic because it's now that clear color that we've chosen. And of course the colors still appear in the, and indeed you could go through assigning colors to all of the key services that maybe we haven't got in the basic list. Go back to basic view mode. That's now in that basic view mode. Going back to FirePlotter.ini, one of the other things I just want to draw your attention to is the set path to store the data for FirePlotter, and that is that when FirePlotter is recording data, and it can be quite a lot of data, so manage your disk carefully, this is where the path is set if you want to have it different from the default. The path must exist, so we don't create it if it's not there, so please make sure the path does exist. So there you have some of the settings from the FirePlotter.ini file. Enjoy using them.